In the future, humanity starts using genetic technology to make people stop aging after reaching 25 years. After that, everyone has exactly 1 year left to live, but this time can be increased by receiving a salary or bartering with other people. In this world, time means money. Its amount is reflected on the timer on the wrist and inexorably counts down. All goods are paid for with it. For example, for a cup of coffee, you will have to give 3 minutes of your life. So while the rich enjoy eternal youth, the poor live literally 1 day only. But the appearance of a hero who wants to break this tottering system is only a matter of time. Will wakes up at home. He is only 28, but once again, there is less than a day left on his timer. Today is his mother Rachel's birthday. She is turning 50, but they have no time to celebrate the anniversary. The woman also has only 3 days left, and she has to pay more than half of it for her bills and loan. Will promises to earn enough so that they can have some rest. Rachel is also getting ready for work, and they agree to meet the following evening. Then, the woman's time will be running out, and her son will have to share his with her. His mother gives Will 30 minutes for lunch, and they part, exchanging words of love. On the way, Will meets a little beggar, Maya. She asks for a minute, and the boy generously shares 5 minutes with her. Will runs to the Time Wallet factory, where he meets his best friend, Borel. They buy coffee, which has gone up in price by a whole minute since yesterday, and see men arm wrestling for time on the street. Will's father did this quite often, but his son refuses to take such a risk. At the end of the working day, Will gets his paycheck, but it is lower than he expected. Where is the rest? You haven't met your quota. My productivity has increased, so has the quota, the accountant answers Will. He goes to a bar, where he takes an hour from a card player he knows, which the man owed him. A tipsy Borel points out a rich man, Henry, who has been setting up people in the bar for the entire evening. Will approaches him and tries to reason him. You attract so much attention in this neighborhood, you'll get robbed very quickly. To confirm the guy's words, gangsters led by Fortis appear in the bar. The visitors immediately leave the premises, but Will stays to watch how things unfold. Fortis says that he wants to arm wrestle for the entire century that Henry wears on his wrist. I'm not young, I'm already 75. The man begins to feel sick from anxiety and runs to the restroom. One of Fortis's men watches him to make sure he doesn't run away, but Will appears and knocks out the bandit. Together with Henry, they run out into the street and hide from pursuit in an abandoned building. One of the pursuers tells the boss that he recognized Will. Henry admits that he is 105 years old and is fed up with everything. His body is young, but his mind is not what it used to be. Will is angry as he doesn't understand how one can be so frivolous with the time that he and his mother earn working so hard. He asks Henry if he has seen other people die. Henry replies that this is how the poor pay for the immortality of millionaires. There is not enough time for everyone, and someone has to die to prevent overpopulation. But some are not going to die, and are saving up millions of years for themselves and their children. Henry asks Will what he would do if he had as much time as Henry.
If I had all that time, I sure as hell wouldn't waste it.
Waking up in the morning, Will discovers that while he was sleeping, Henry gave him 116 years. The man leaves only 5 minutes to himself to get to the nearest bridge, where he meets his death. Will doesn't even have time to say goodbye, and is captured on security cameras placed on the bridge. Afterwards, he goes to Borel, where he meets his wife with a newborn baby in her arms. The guy laments that 25 years must pass before the baby can share his minutes with his poor parents. Will tells his friend about the events of the previous night and shares 10 years of his life with him. Without thinking twice, Borel goes to drink them away in a bar. Meanwhile, Will's mother pays off the loan, and she only has an hour and a half left to meet her son. She gets on a bus, where she learns that the fare has doubled, and now she cannot pay it. Rachel begs the drivers and passengers to lend her some of the time that her son will give at the bus stop, but no one helps her. The loan office has already closed, and the woman begins to run to leave death behind. Will realizes that his mother hasn't boarded the bus and hurries to meet her. They can already see each other, but when Rachel falls into her son's arms, her heart is no longer beating. The next day, the time guards who investigate crimes take Henry's body out of the river. The chief called Raymond orders to look for time that has flowed away in an unknown direction. He notices the cameras and later finds Will's face on the recording. But the hero is already ordering a taxi and crosses several time zones that separate people with money from the poor. We usually don't pick up passengers from this zone. I get lost every time at the border. He pays more and more until he reaches New Greenwich. This ticket costs a whole year. Getting out of the car, Will immediately starts running because he is used used to spending as little time as possible on travel. People leer their eyes at him, and he understands that he should not stand out among those who own all the time. A strange guy is noticed by a girl with red hair who gets into a limousine. Will checks into a luxury room in a hotel and eats at a local restaurant. The waitress understands that Will is not a local because he swallows food very quickly. Will leaves her a tip for a whole week, and the girl advises him to change his suit. Raymond receives information about Will and his movements. The man realizes that he was acquainted with his father. Wearing a new suit, Will comes to the casino and sits down at the poker table. There he meets a billionaire called Philip, who praises his new acquaintance. The two continue gambling, and Philip raises the stakes each time, forcing Will to bet everything he has managed to win. The rich man is joined by red-haired Sylvia, who has been watching them all this time. She is shocked by the courage of the guy, who has only 30 seconds left on his wrist. The last card makes the straight, which turns out to be stronger than Philip's 3 queens, and Will becomes the owner of an entire millennium. Sylvia turns out to be Philip's daughter. The girl invites Will to a festive reception. Will arrives there in a newly purchased sports car that cost him 59 years. Sylvia, with her mother and grandmother, greet him at the door. The girl sends away the security that follows her around and dances with Will. She remembers how the guy was running down the street and says that sometimes she envies the poor because her life is boring and meaningless. In response, Will invites her to follow him outside. The mansion is located on the ocean shore, and the guy offers to go into the water. Sylvia has never done this, although she lives just a stone's throw away from it. She feels the adrenaline and dives in after the hero. The girl doesn't yet dare to kiss the guy, as she doesn't know him at all, and returns to the shore. The young people manage to hide their adventure from Philip, who invites Will to play poker. Suddenly, time guards appear in the mansion and take the boy away for interrogation. Raymond doesn't believe the story of Henry's self-sacrifice. I'm giving him only 2 hours to fill out the report.
Why are you investigating a suicide? There's mass murder in the ghetto every day.
Raymond is shocked by this question because 20 years back, Will's father asked him exactly the same. They are preparing to take the guy to the station, but he attacks the guards and takes the gun. After that, he takes Sylvia hostage and puts her in a car. Raymond follows him, rams and turns Will's car. The guy makes the pursuer collide with a truck, and the young people hide under a bridge. Will asks Sylvia to share her time, but she refuses. The girl also suspects him of killing Henry. They end up in Will's native ghetto and fall into a trap that Fortis and his men have set. The car flies off the road, and both pass out. Fortis takes Sylvia's time and goes away, leaving her only 30 minutes. Having regained consciousness, the young people share their time to have a chance to replenish their supply. 3 minutes before his death, Will knocks on Borel's door. His wife opens and says he drank himself to death. He had 9 years left on the timer. Will is in despair, and Sylvia is seized with panic. Suddenly, the guy realizes that he can pawn the girl's earrings. The owner gives them only 2 days, but there is no time to bargain as the guards of time are on their tail. The credit organization, where Will's mother took money, turns out to be Sylvia's father's business. The guy calls Philip to demand a ransom for his daughter, but Raymond picks up the phone. Will wants 1,000 years to be transferred to a charity that gives time to everyone in need in his hometown. This must be done before tomorrow. Raymond warns that the guy will soon end up like his father. All his life, Will believed that his father died in a regular fight, but Raymond claims that this is not true, but does not reveal the details. The runaways spend the night in Will's apartment. Sylvia puts on his mother's dress, and the guy tells about his relatives. His father won a lot in fights, but he was killed. This happened because he was giving time to people in trouble. Sylvia and Will turn out to be almost the same age. When the timer started counting down, the guy wasted the whole year in a week, and the girl immediately received 10 years as a gift from her father. In the morning, they watch how the line is forming at the charity organization. Everything happens as usual, which means that Philip refused to fulfill a requirement. Despite this, Will takes Sylvia to a payphone and gives her a gun so that she can return home on her own. The girl worries about the guy's fate and kisses him goodbye. Will stays nearby, and Raymond finds him. Sylvia notices a gun in the hands of the time guard and shoots first. Will examines the wounded man and sees that he has only 2 hours left. Instead of taking them, the guy gives Raymond 2 more of his so that his colleagues can find and help him. The young people jack the guard's car, but they are still running out of time. The police car attracts too much attention, so Will blocks the road for a taxi with a rich lady inside, robs her, and takes the car. The couple gets away from the crime scene and later sees themselves on the news. Sylvia can still use the role of the victim and get away with it, but she doesn't want to do this. For the first time in her life, she feels that she is living a full life. Passion flares up between the young people. Raymond reports to Philip that his daughter has become a gun moil of the criminal, and he will arrest her at the first opportunity. The millionaire offers to solve the issue with a bribe, but the incorruptible Raymond threatens to arrest him. Meanwhile, Will teaches Sylvia how to use a gun, and she decides to help him carry carry out his plan to restore justice. They crash a truck into one of Philip's bank branches and empty the vault in front of a crowd of customers. Raymond believes that they are doing a disservice, and violence increases in the ghetto to prove his point. The locals buy guns to protect themselves from Fortis, and the bandit opens fire in return. Precious years are wasted in a deadly shootout. A 10-year reward is announced for the capture of the bank robbers, and Fortis intends to hit the jackpot. Philip doesn't understand why Sylvia has turned against him, and his wife explains that he smothers his daughter with his love. Same night, Raymond and his men surround the motel where the runaways are hiding. Will notices them in time, and the couple jumps out of the window to escape. When Raymond manages to catch up with them, Will is forced to shoot. The young people get on a bus, bribing the driver with a large amount not to be reported to the police. But they do not manage to hide for long, as Fortis finds them in the new hotel. The bandit is unhappy and thinks that the old order that Will has broken must be restored. "The guards never bother me, because I know the boundaries. I know who I can steal from," he says. But Fortis gives the guy his due and offers a fight to honestly find out who is stronger. Will understands that this is a deception, but accepts the challenge. The guy uses his father's tactic. He allows his opponent to take almost all of his time, and the latter drops his guard, anticipating victory. At the last moment, Will turns the situation in his favor. The bandits' henchmen approach the table to intervene, but Will snatches a hidden pistol and kills them. Only Fortis remains, but soon he dies, having lost all his time. Will and Sylvia are free again, but their triumph is short-lived. To compensate for the time that the poor got for free, the rich has raised prices. All the new Robin Hood's efforts are in vain. Will says that only 1,000,000 years will really change the situation. Sylvia suggests to do the impossible. The next day, she comes to her father and assures him that she wants to capitulate. A crowd of bodyguards protect Philip, but among them, there is a girl who approaches the man and takes him hostage. The couple sneaks into the vault and takes the wallet with 1,000,000 years. "Destroy the system! We hope we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live forever," she exclaims. Philip says that in a few generations, everything will return to normal, because everyone wants to live forever and will be ready to sacrifice with others. Just not everyone is ready to admit it. Will cannot suppress his anger and almost shoots the man in front of his daughter, but stops himself.
No one should be immortal if even one person has to die.
He will protect those who have their time stolen by scoundrels like Philip. The young people leave, and Raymond detects the transfer of a huge amount of time on his radar. He tries to stop the runaways and close the borders, but Will and Sylvia break through the cordon in an armored car. Raymond continues the chase and catches up with them in the ghetto. Will gets out of the car, and Maya immediately runs up to him. He leaves himself only an hour and gives the girl 1,000,000 years so that she can distribute it among everyone. People prevent Raymond from arresting Will and Sylvia and share their time with each other. Raymond gets into the car and catches up with the couple again. The man admits that he too escaped poverty, but still believes in a system that maintains the gap between the rich and the poor. However, in the heat of the chase, he completely forgets about his own time. Raymond falls dead, but Will and Sylvia's timer is also coming to zero. The guy wants to give his minute so that the girl gets to her destination, but she refuses. Here Will realizes that Raymond's car can be refilled. He gets there first and takes the treasured watch. Sylvia is late and the guy has to rush back to her. At the last moment, she throws herself into Will's arms to save herself from death. Thanks to their actions, the boundaries of time zones begin to blur, and people migrate wherever they want. The Guardians of Time are about to intervene, but their new boss orders them to go home. Sylvia and Will move on and load their pistols again.